Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to Human-Computer Interaction course. So for this video, we will be talking about the following: what HCI is and why is it important, and also what are the different principles of HCI. So I believe you guys have not heard anything about HCI. Yeah, for this video, we're going to answer those questions. So let's start with our first topic. What is HCI and why is it important? Or what is human-computer interaction mean? Okay, so HCI is a cross-disciplinary area. It involves engineering, psychology, ergonomics, design that deals with the theory, design, implementation, and evaluation of the ways that humans use and interact with computing devices. So human-computer interaction is basically it's focused. It's mainly focused on the interface between the user or you and the computing devices. So it evaluates of the ways that humans use and interact with computing devices. From the terms itself, the human-computer interaction. It is how we interact with computing devices. So it is expected that by the end of the semester, since human-computer interaction, it involves interaction interface, you will be able to create and design your own application or your own system. Okay, and the interaction is a concept to be distinguished from another similar term, interface. So when we interact to a computing devices, there is always an interface, right? Because it would be very hard for us to interact with a computing device without an interface, okay? So, so by the end of this semester, you will be able to know how to properly design software, how to create a user interface, in that in the computing device. Okay, so we will gonna be talking about the um, different standards on on the next chapter. So I hope you guys have get the idea what a human computer interaction is. So again, it's basically focused on the interface between the computers and the user, or you as the user or the people. Okay, next, the distinguishing concept of interaction model and interface. So when we say interaction model, it's actually it involves the sequence, the context, the hierarchy, the level of data, and a lot more. Okay, when we say interaction, actually it involves software and hardware. Now, it would be very hard to interact without a software and a hardware. And a software means, I believe, terminal ninyo siya donggan, or you always hear about software. So when we say software, it involves window, metaphor, widgets, those um, those applications that you've seen in your Android phones, in your computers, anything that is installed in your computers. So those were software. The icons, the interfaces that you've seen, mga arrows na inyo nakita, the borders, and etc. Okay, those were in the software. Okay, as for the hardware, of course, these are the tangible materials. Very understandable. No, it involves monitor, mouse, keyboard, system unit, cords, etc. Okay, and when there is an interaction between the software and the hardware, there is what we call the task. So I believe you know what task is all about. So when you actually navigate, when you select, when you manipulate, and there is an encoding, data entry, there is an interaction between the software, between you and then the computing device. That is, you are creating a task. So this is how you distinguish actually the interface and then the interaction model. So I hope you have you grasp some idea about this. terms. Okay, next. Okay, we proceed with the importance of HCI. So why do we need to learn about this HCI, the computer, a human-computer interaction? So HCI has become more important in recent years as computers and embedded devices have become commonplace in almost all facets of our lives. I hope this is really clear for you guys that we really need to study HCI. Right? Again, it's become the commonplace in almost all facets of our lives, especially today, especially that we are doing a flexible online learning. Okay, so without computers, without any computing devices, without your Android phones, your laptops, then it would not be possible. Okay, and also, why do we need to learn about HCI? Is for us to be able to help develop a high usability interfaces for systems which are easy to use, systems which are efficient for the task. It ensures safety and leads to a correct completion of the task. A system can of course solve a problem, right? So that is why HCI or human computer interaction is very important. Because it will gonna help solve problems. And yeah, okay. So I hope you understand why do we need to learn about HCI? Why do we need to be enthusiasts in terms of technologies? Because student, as technology student, you must and you should be able to, of course, design your own software. Okay, so let's understand what a user interface is all about, or UI. So I believe you heard about UI and UX, but you don't have any idea what truly UI and UX means. So user interface, it represents the internal state and output peripherals. It captures and manages input from input peripherals and the mediums through which the communication between human and computer takes place. And through the interface, user actions are translated into instructions that are comprehensible for the computer. So the user interface is where the human and computer takes place. Kasi dito ka na nag-start in creating a task, in manipulating what's in the software or what's in the system, right? So again, through the user interface, the user actions are translated into instructions. So for example, you click a button, you click a login button. So that click will be translated into computer language. Parang ganun yan. So what you've seen um in the interface is okay. So that's it. That is user interface. Okay. Next would be the user experience. So what is UX? A user experience. It actually encompasses the functional completeness. No, it involves high usability and aesthetic appeal of the interactive artifact. It is a seamless integration into one's lifestyle, or the user experience is this. It, it involves all functional completeness of your system. So, of course, from the term itself, user experience, how the user will gonna use the system, or what will be the experience, of the user if he use that kind of software. So it's very important that you should clearly understand what UI and UX means. So when creating a system, when creating a software, the UI and UX must be really, really good, for your system to be, for your application to be, of course, a success. So it should be, pleasing of the eye, should be easy to use, a user-friendly application. But don't worry, guys, because we're gonna be talking about it later on the next chapters. So there will be a lot of standards that you need to follow in order for you to create your own applications, UI and UX designs to be more, more really, really good. Okay, next. Okay, next topic is the HCI principles. What are the different principles of human-computer interaction? So, despite its importance, good HCI design is generally difficult. Indeed, no, dili siya basta-basta lang ka mag-design without even knowing what are these different principles. Mainly because it is multi-objective task and that involves simultaneous consideration of many things. So there are a lot of things that you must consider, such as the type of user, who will gonna use your application. Is the application for the kids or is it for the adult? And the characteristics of the tasks. So what are the different tasks? What are the different features that your application will going to do? No, on how it will solve the problem, the capabilities and cost of the devices. It's very important. The cost, lack of objective. What is your objective? What is the purpose of the system, no? or the software, or exact quantitative evaluation measures and changing technologies, to name a few. So let's start with the first principle. Okay, know the user or know your user. This principle states that the interaction and interface should cater to the needs and capabilities of the target user of the system and the design. So it's very important that before creating a system, you should be able to target, who will be your user or who will gonna use your system. Because it would be very hard to design, to create software without knowing who is your targeted user. Okay, so for example, you develop an online shopping system, an online shopping that is good for students, that is good for senior citizens. And then when the senior citizens use that kind of online shopping application, then the senior citizen cannot really understand or doesn't know how to use your software because you've developed or you designed it just for the students, something like those things. So it's very important they should understand who your target user is. Okay, is your application for the kids only? No, is it for the teens only? Is it for the adults? So something like those things. Okay, that's one principle. Again, you must know your user before creating your software, before creating your system. Next is understand the task. Okay, understand the task. What are the different tasks in the system? Okay, so the term task refers to the job to be accomplished by the user through the use of the interactive system. So what are the different features of your system? Okay, so for example, if the user were going to click this icon, what's going to happen? Now, if the user will gonna click the login button, well, the user will be navigated to the dashboard, or the user will be navigated to his profile, something like those things. So you must understand. No, you should have this checklist or different project details of the system in which you have already determined the different features, different tasks that you're going to do, or the jobs that the system will going to detail siyang may makita sa user. Okay? Understanding the task at hand is closely related to the interaction modeling and user analysis. So, as a developer of that system, kailangan na mabalaan nimo daan if you put yourself as the user always, no? And then, yeah, okay, next. Okay, reduce memory load. So when we say reduce memory load, humans are certainly more efficient in carrying out tasks that requires less memory burden, long or short term. Keeping the user's term memory load light is of particular importance with regard to the interfaces, tools, as quick and easy guidance to the completion of the task. Of course, as a human being, gusto kita ganun tagpaspas, di ba? We want a really good performance applications. So for example, if we log in, if we log to that application, we want na diretso ta maka-log in. No? We want that. So as you may have noticed na if that kind of application doesn't have a good memory load, ang nangyayari, inaayawan natin, no? We uninstall that application. We don't use that application. So it's very important that when you design a system, you should know this kind of principle. Know that your application must be in a good performance, where in if there are tasks that the users were going to do, it would be pas-pas ka para sa ila, no? Something like those things. It must be quick and easy. Next, strive for consistency. As for the consistency, this applies to A, both within an application and across different applications, and both the interaction model and interface implementation. So there should be an consistency. Okay, it must be consistent. Okay, if your interaction model is you have defined it like this, like that, then the interface implementation should be the same with your interaction model. So don't worry, because as for the consistency, we will be able to discuss it further later and how are we going to apply it to our system. So it must be consistent, no? The interaction model and the interface implementation. So yeah. Next principle is remind users and refresh their memory. Okay, what does it mean? Any significant task will involve the use of memory. Okay, so another good strategy is to employ interfaces that give continuous reminders of important information and thereby refresh the user's memory. Okay, so let us say, for example, you have developed a shopping application. As for the shopping application, we know that the user will gonna add products, no? Add products to the cart, and at by the time of the checkout, the user will gonna ask himself to what are the different products that he added or he added to his cart. So it's very important that after the checkout, there should be this confirmation page where the user will be able to view the different products that he or she ordered. So something like those. Okay. So we must always remind the users what did he do to the system. Especially, yeah, that's what I've said in the shopping application. Okay. And next and last principle of human-computer interaction is naturalness. Naturalness refers to a trait that is reflective of various operations in our everyday life. Okay, so for instance, a perfect HCI may one day be realized when a natural language-based conversational interface is possible, because this is the prevalent way that humans communicate. A natural or metaphoric interface, assuming that the metaphor is not contrived, will also have affordance, a property, or additional cues that appeals to our innate perception and cognition, thus making it so intuitive that the interface would require almost no learning. So, for you to easily understand what naturalness is, your application must be user-friendly. You know? It must be simple as possible, quick and easy to navigate. Okay, so it would actually it require almost no learning, so the user will no longer be able to have a lot of trainings in order for him or her to use this system. It should be simple. Okay, we have example Facebook. You know, everyone can use Facebook, even if the young kids, there's no more training. You just have them create their account, then log into Facebook, then do their thing. So something like those things, it should be quick and easy. It should be it should be user friendly. Okay, so that is the principles of HCI. Okay, so I think that would be all for this video. We have introduced what HCI means, why is it important that we need to learn it, why do we need to design user interface, and also what are the different principles that we need to consider before creating a system. Okay, so as for the summary, in this chapter, we've introduced the field of HCI, namely its objective and importance. We also have reviewed some high-level principles of HCI and presented some relevant examples. These principles are often based on or are just manifestations or deeper theories in cognitive science and ergonomics. However, they are transformed into more detailed and directly usable guidelines when put into actual practice for the specific purpose of designing an effective interface. So in the next chapters, we will be talking and dealing about how to design a really, really good and effective interface. So I hope you guys have learned something. If I'm too fast, just review the video and review the slides. The PDF also will be available for you. And if you have any questions, just feel free to reach me out. And that's all. So that would be all. Thank you so much for watching.